not long ago, I get on the train. So I sit down on the train and I scooch kind of close to the window. And there's a guy who takes the seat next to the seat across from me. So he's not next to me, he's not across from me, he's diagonal. Is that picture like clear in your heads? Like just
Yep.
so what I
Yeah, I would
um
say so.
so the next thing he does, and nothing wrong with that. I'm up against the window kinda, that's just kinda how I like to be. He kicks up both of his feet and rests them on the seat next to me, barring me from the aisle. And I just want to check in with you both and confirm my suspicion that I was well within social graces to kill this person, right?
I suppose so.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need an excuse to kill someone. You can just do
That's
it.
yeah,
That's
I can
true. What
do.
are they going to do about it? They're just going to be dead.
Yeah, that's true. Well, whenever something bad happens on the train, nobody's there. But whenever I forget to buy a ticket, there's like someone someone right up my ass. So if I made something bad happen and killed someone on the train, there'd be no one to stop me. As long as I had my ticket, that is. It was really good. I kind of got to. I was like thinking the whole time. I hope this motherfucker doesn't get off the train before me, because like he can't leave thinking this was normal. I need to like make kind of a big deal out of how much of an asshole he was. And I luckily hit my stop before him, and I was able to go, "Excuse me," and then I realized I overdid it, so I said in a silly voice, "Who said that?" And I like got off the train.
So did this not happen?
I was exaggerating. The second that I said "excuse me" to him, that was just kind of being silly when I told that story. I did kind of get him because I said "excuse me" when I tried to get off, and he looks at me like, "Huh?" Like he didn't know what I wanted, and I kind of gesture like, "Can I?" And then he puts his fucking feet down. I look at the lady on the in the seat like across the aisle, kind of like this guy over here, and I hope he was embarrassed, and I hope he learned a lesson. So I didn't kill him, but I did. But I think I embarrassed him in the scope of one person, and
Yeah,
I think that's just
he probably went home and killed himself after.
yeah,
So
exactly, yeah. He'll never bother anyone on the train again.
man,
Congrats, you're a hero.
you literally went to him and you said, "You can't park there. It's very dangerous for us."
That does suck to just like bar me off from the aisle. Like if that, I think you'd be pissed off if that happened to you as well.
No, yeah, that
Keep
sucks.
Yeah, just keep your fucking feet down, motherfucker. And like, what am I gonna do? Ask you not to? Like,
Yeah, like
oh,
some then there's like some people who will just like lay down on the seats and like take up like
oh.
4 different seats at once. And
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no. And like and I think I just like am extra anal about basic train and bus because I'm like a big dude and I think I like almost man spread by default. Like not even like I think if I squish my legs together as much as possible, I'm still just a big enough dude that I'm taking up a ton of fucking space. So when motherfuckers are like just treating the train like it's their coffee table, it kind of pisses me off. Like,
yeah,
No,
that's
I
fair.
understand that.
yeah.
Select your character.
Rev up those fryers and fill your champagne glasses to the very tippy top. I'm Tommy, and you're listening to West Coast Toast and Roast, starring Willow, Dav, and yours truly.
Get ready for the next battle.
Well, welcome back to West Coast Toast and Roast. I am the scourge of train spreaders anywhere, and I'm Tommy.
And I used to be fucking obsessed with trains as a kid, and I'm Willow.
And one time I had the exact same thing happen to me as Tommy, but instead of like asking him nicely to move his legs, I just stabbed him with my insulin needle for diabetics, and I'm Dav.
So did he end up with like too much insulin? Or
He
did you
he
even?
became I infected him. It's like a zombie thing. Like he has diabetes now. That's just a consequence of being an asshole on public transit.
Yeah. Um, I've gotten a lot of comments in my YouTube recently because like every time it's Friday the 13th, my Jason video like really blows up. Somehow that's the one where I kind of just struck gold, and that one gets like a ton of views and comments. And recently especially, and in a couple other videos, there have been some, flagrant accusations that I am AI and that my voice is AI. And, like, when I'm doing scripted content like that, to be fair, I put my voice through, like, a cleanup filter, and I painstakingly edit out my inhales and exhales. So I just go through and find every sentence where I go between sentences and cut it out so no one has to hear that shit, which I guess makes me sound less natural, but easier to listen to. But maybe that's just, like, an indication that I'm a bit rigid and I'm a bit, like, a bit stuck in my ways. So I'm declaring a new era of the podcast. This is the chill era. This is going to be less structured. This is going to be you know what? I was going to say less rules. I may go as far as to say no rules. No rules on the podcast. Because this is chill.
People need rules.
No, you know what? This is chill, Tommy, because I'm not AI. There were times where I'd get a little worked up if we did an odd number of toasts and roasts in whatever category. Not anymore. This is chill, Tommy. So for this episode, mainly because I got to visit you all, and we got to consume a lot of the same content together. And regardless, June was really jam-packed with content, mostly movies and games, that we all had vested interest in. I thought we could kind of make this one more of like a State of the Union than a conventional 3 toasts, 3 roasts, or whatever we did, rotation of 9. And usher in the chill era. And we'll probably go back to a normal rotation next month, but maybe do this every so often. But I don't have to clarify that, because no one needs the answers right this second, because this is like chill Tommy at the wheel. Okay, anal retentive Tommy is fired. He's at the door. I'm getting a pedicure tomorrow. I am, like, it's the chill era.
Yeah, everybody at home, do you know how much fucking melatonin I had to feed our language learning system in order to make it sound like that? Like, that sounds real.
I'm not, hey, I'm not
Oh, shit, more melatonin.
Buy gold, buy gold, buy gold.
He needs his sleep, he needs his rest.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Recharging. Okay. But jokes aside, chill era. Okay. Do we want to start with, in lieu of the usual trailer life or death, should we talk about some of what we saw over Summer Games Fest?
Sure.
Oh, right. Well, Capcom had a really big showcase in which they revealed Resident Evil Requiem, which I think is the 9th, mainline Resident Evil. They decided Leon was too much of a Chad to still get scared, so we have a new female protagonist whose name escapes me. We got a relatively cinematic trailer. I think they're doing cool shit with Resident Evil just in general. This one doesn't tell us, like, everything. I think the protagonist looks like Willow. Did anything else stand out to any of you?
Does the protagonist look like Willow?
I thought, unless I'm thinking of a different game, I thought I pointed that out. Resident.
Yeah, will you send or like put a picture in the chat so I could see? I'm always looking for some gender go.
Grace Ashcroft is her name. So there's a point early in the trailer where she's wearing glasses, and it doesn't, and I think that's what really made it click with me. Here we go. It doesn't look like that's like her default, so maybe I'm a little, but still, I was like, oh, that looks like, because we were watching the trailer together at your place, and I was like, oh, there's Willow. There she is.
I mean, yeah, that's high praise.
Yeah.
She's a very nice looking protagonist.
Yeah,
well, I think
you can get scared.
Yeah. Yeah, they want a more vulnerable protagonist. Do any of you have like huge expectations about this? Huge thoughts?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really care about Resident Evil unless Leon Kennedy's there. I'm sorry.
Did you play Village?
No, I just like every Resident Evil game, like, I'm really into 2, I'm really into 4, but if Leon's not there, I just find myself being like, who fucking cares? I guess I tried 5 a little bit, but only because I care about Wesker. I do really like Wesker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I tried to start the Resident Evil. I started with like 0 because I heard that's like a good starting point, and I just could not get into it. It is so weird, the like dual character control gimmick. So, I mean, I think what I'm probably gonna do is just kind of stick with like the remakes whenever I eventually inevitably get into the series. But I do think that like 7 and 8 both look really cool. They got kind of their own vibe going, and this like 9 looks like more of that. So I think it looks cool.
Yeah, 2 remake is hard to go wrong with if you just delve into that one.
Yeah, I just picked up the 4 remake on the summer sale too.
Nice. Yeah, no. 4 is like one of the all-time best. Persona 4 Revival, which nobody knew about leading into the announcement. No one like got in trouble about. You're the big Persona folks. Where are we at with that one?
I think it's a little ridiculous.
How come?
Because I don't. Why do we need to like? I do feel like I'm very much in agreement with Jay, friend of the podcast, my lovely partner, that like, if they're gonna remake Persona, why would you not do 1 and 2? Why, like, 3 I can even understand, because 3 is like a very good game, but like in the original, it can be a little clunky. 4 is fine. 4 there's nothing...
Like 4 Golden specifically holds up very well still.
Yeah, no, I honestly feel like it's like them being like, and we're remaking Persona 5. Like, we already have so much fucking Persona 4 content. We have nothing of 1 and 2. And from what I hear, they're really cool games that just need like to be fleshed out and like released on consoles. I don't know why Atlas is like so afraid of it.
Well, my take is that we don't even need another Persona remake. We need Persona 6. Like, next year will be 10 years since Persona 5 came out.
Oh, wow, that's hard.
That's
weird to think about.
That's absurd.
Yeah. And, like, 4 is still kind of sort of showing up in, like, spin-offs and stuff, to my understanding, let alone needing for a remake.
Yeah, well, 4 is where they really started, like, milking the current entry, making so many side games, like Persona 4 dancing and Arena and everything, and... So that's sort
Arena's very good.
Arena's good, yeah, and I'd like to see a new Arena game, but they just want to keep on dancing.
Yeah, I'd like to see an Arena game with like all the characters, not just like, oh, it's Persona 4 and the Persona 3 characters come back.
I want a Persona crossover. You're getting Ruby.
And also, the original characters, I will say, in Arena are, like, god-awful, in my opinion.
Really? I like Labris.
I think Labris is a terrible fucking character.
She's fun. She's an android with, like, like a Boston accent?
A Jersey accent.
Well, if this game isn't really worth it, I'm glad that nobody, like, broke NDA and ruined their careers over it.
I mean, I'm still gonna play it. I'm like, when 4 remake drops, I'm still gonna play it. But like, and it also looks like it's a little far out. Like, it's probably at least a couple years out. It looks very early in development. Like, those models are not refined at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Okay. We've got the Killer Instinct devs are working on a fighting game surrounding the characters of Invincible. Which looks like it, like, from first glimpse, I was a little like, oh, I don't know. Because it does look, it's very early in development. It really does look like it needs more time in the oven. That being said, a lot of influencers who have gotten to try it say it feels way better than it looks. It is a tag fighter to the, I think it reminds me just in appearance more of Dragon Ball FighterZ than, say, Marvel vs. Capcom, though I could be wrong. No, I actually think I'm getting my wires crossed. That might not be correct. Well, it's the Killer Instinct devs. I don't really know if there's necessarily one side or the other. They're particularly pulling names out of. Did you hear otherwise, Willow?
I mean, just from I guess, like, from visuals alone and like, how the combos work, it seemed very MVC-esque.
There are, like, air pop-ups, what it kind of looked like. I think you're correct about that. I think I just kind of got... I think the characters kind of flying around like that just, like, crossed up my wires aesthetically for a moment. I think you're correct.
I can see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. And it's got, like, lots of blood, too. Like, I don't think there's explicitly, like, fatalities, but I think if you finish with specific heavy attacks and combos, your opponent will just, like, explode into a bloody pulp, which is kind of fun. I'm always looking for fresher ways to innovate on how fighting games do finishers and things like that. And I fucking love Invincible, so if this gets the TLC I think it needs, I'm pretty game for it.
Yeah, I think an Invincible fighting game is a good idea, but I also think that, like, they gotta do something about those graphics. Like, it looks very plasticky.
Yeah, I think it's still early enough in development that I'm not, like, super worried. I'm more concerned about the voiceover, because I think I could understand if you can't necessarily get Stephen Yeun and Gillian Jacobs to reprise their... Like, I don't know necessarily who's coming back and who isn't, but when Adam Eve started talking, I'm like, oh, that's not my mother. That's not Eve. What are we doing here? We're getting Super Meat Boy 3D. I like the first one. I think indie games like those kind of get stuck in a rut where nobody makes a sequel ever. So I'm happy that's, like, happening in sort of a definitive way. Lots of really cool looking, like, one-off things that, you know, we had, like, Out of Words, which is this really artistic looking, I think, co-op platformer. Dav, tell us, because there's a lot of background in realms that you're close to about this one. Tell us about Stranger Than Heaven.
Oh, yeah, so that was, originally announced as Project Century at the Game Awards. It was either last year or... Actually, no, it was last year, because that was also when they showed off Virtua Fighter, right?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, that was when it was revealed, and it's kind of strange, because originally when they announced it was like 1910s Japan, and it looked pretty well developed already, but now it looks like they've maybe shifted it toward the 30s, or maybe that it like takes place over time. But it's from the Yakuza, the Like a Dragon devs. It looks like very similar to that, and a lot of, like, you can tell that there are some, like, animations and some sounds reused, as there is in any Yakuza game. But it also looks like totally transformative, and, like, they spent a lot of time developing this. It looks huge scale. There's a possibility that it's an origin story for the Omi Alliance, which is kind of the rival Yakuza faction in the main story of Yakuza. It just looks incredible. Like, that, out of all the announcements from Summer Games Fest, that is the one I'm looking forward to the most by far.
It looks very fleshed out, yeah. Right, when we watched the trailer when you said 1910s, I was almost like, oh, but it does seem like they've developed the concept. If it is something where time, like, shifts, that sounds pretty astounding, frankly.
Yeah, in any case, it's early 20th century, and there's a lot of good vibes there, so I'm really liking it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. We've got Marvel's Deadpool VR, starring Neil Patrick Harris as Deadpool.
No. Okay, here's the thing. I love Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, he does incredible voice work. I think that, like, overall, he's a great voice actor. It seems like he's not trying.
No, yeah. I think he's miscast terribly, and I think it's, like, kind of it's like a step in way of what kind of strikes me as, like, a small beanification of Deadpool. Like, they want someone really approachable for him, and it just does not mesh, I don't think.
Yeah.
The game looks pretty fun, though. It's just, I think it's a Quest 3 exclusive, which really sucks.
Street Fighter 6 Year 3 characters are Sagat, Viper, Ingrid, and Alex.
Fuck yeah for Alex Sagat. And honestly, I know a lot of people dislike Ingrid, but I always thought she was cool. That being said, I think her design in this is fucking atrocious. I think it is the. I think it makes her look like a fucking dork, and not in like a charming way.
I think I'm just so nonplussed by Ingrid in the first place that I'm open to anything that shakes it up a bit. Like, she's always bored me to tears, honestly. And you're distinctly anti-Viper, is what you've told me.
Yeah, I think, I've just kind of been spoiled on her ever since she was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for some reason.
I think the mistake of that game is that she feels like she's pulled right out of, like, Street Fighter 4. Whereas I do think, I was never, like, crazy about her. I do think there are, like, cool places you can take her. So I have an open mind about her, personally. But, like, she's not my favorite, yeah.
The trailer was kind of funny.
The trailer was funny, yeah.
Was it Kenny Omega who's in it?
I think
couldn't
so.
tell you. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, he's just looking in the mirror and he has all the gear on of each character.
He's like cosplaying each one of them. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Mina the Hollower by the makers of Shovel Knight, a Zelda-like game, is officially going to be out on Halloween, which I'm pretty happy about. I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah. We're getting a Scott Pilgrim follow-up, which I'm pretty surprised by. Scott Pilgrim EX, which I think it's cool they're doing a game that seems to be really actively carrying on the show specifically. It kind of, because there was that cliffhanger, spoilers for a year-old show. It does seem like Gideon and Julie Powers are the main antagonists, and I think that's cool. Because I kind of truly, because like it very did seem like we're closing the book on Scott Pilgrim, and I was also, that show was so good. I'm like, I don't necessarily need more Scott Pilgrim, but I think a game is a good compromise where it's like a smaller scale story you can kind of take or leave. But I'm pretty pumped for that.
No, I think like the damn shame about Scott Pilgrim takes off is that it really is best when Scott Pilgrim is not in it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, when it's kind of the mystery around his disappearance.
Well, that was our we got the Toasty Award, right?
It was the Show of the Year 2023. Yes, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the year after that, just last year, was Smiling Friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
If it's not Severance this year, I'm gonna rip someone's head off. I'm just saying.
I don't know if I'm like crazy about season 2.
Well, that's it for the podcast. I quit.
Well, I'm not forgetting that you strong-armed Ted into winning Dark Horse Show of the Year last year.
Fucking Huntrix is about to break up on stage. Foreshadowing for later, folks.
Mouse PI for Hire. I think I'm just impressed that game is coming out. Because if you look at any interviews about Cuphead, people are like, if I knew how difficult it would be to make Cuphead, I never would have agreed to make Cuphead. So the fact that someone made another Rubber Hose, and this had like little teasers years ago, where I think I showed you, David, and you were like, there's no way this is coming out. And I was like,
no, I couldn't believe it. The way that it looks, it just doesn't look like a real game.
And it seems to be like they're chugging toward... I wouldn't be shocked if it were delayed to next year, but they're chugging toward what looks like a finished game. So, like, hats off there. And I kind of, because, like, I hold Cuphead so preciously, for better or worse, that I kind of roll my eyes like, oh, sure, you're doing a Rubber Hose, like, whatever. It looks like it's kind of putting its money where its mouth is. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, did you know that all the Rubber Hose cartoons are based on this video game called Cuphead?
I'm just, you know what? I don't need to hear flack from the Bendy and the Ink Machine defender in the corner here.
I was quoting the fucking meme!
I'm just giving you a hard time. Willow, you like Bendy and the Ink Machine.
I did enjoy playing it, yeah.
So I didn't say anything false. I'm just giving you a hard time. I razz the people I love.
No, I know.
We can take it up in Felt That Boxing. This is the Muppet Punch-Out, and I think if you told me it's like Punch-Out, but the characters kind of look like puppets, and it has that style, I'm like, oh, cool. If you look at the trailer, it looks as close as possible to controlling live-action puppets. It looks kind of like almost uncanny, but I'm really impressed by the art style.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the gameplay started when it started. It was very realistic looking.
I think it looks incredible.
I hope this isn't a mouse PI situation where they're like, we have 2 fights going and we're going to take 5 years to finish. But, I hope we see this next year-ish. I think it looks really cool. Marvel Cosmic Invasion reveals She-Hulk and Rocket. No big deal there. Oh, and speaking of was Marvel Tokon Summer Games Fest, or was that? No, that was at the State of Play, which we also should discuss.
Oh, yeah. Fucking insane. I'm so excited.
That looks fucking rad. We got you were mimicking Doctor Doom's gunslinging animation all week long when I visited, and for good reason. He looks swag as fuck.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's Doctor Doom,
Yeah. How do we feel about Ghost Rider being Robbie instead of Johnny?
Don't love it, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I think it's...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's like kind of a good sign they're going off the beaten path a tiny bit, because I don't want this to be like the Marvel Rivals roster, but in a different font.
Well, Ghost Rider isn't in Marvel Rivals.
No, well, but if he was, it'd be Johnny Storm. Or Johnny Blaze.
I see what you mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Sonic, and then we got Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which...
Hatsune Miku!
Steve Minecraft!
Ichiban Kasuga!
SpongeBob! This is officially the gayest game of all time, with all those characters we just named.
This is probably the first Sonic Racing game I get, because the crossovers are pretty crazy.
Yeah,
honestly, I do kind of love that number one, that like Kasuga in particular just fits so well, because number one, he has the go-kart minigame in his own series. And number two, he would like look at that and he'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm meeting Sonic the Hedgehog!"
He's the fan. Now, the bummer is it does look like they're half-assing some of the crossover aspects. It doesn't seem as though the SpongeBob characters have voices. Their only sound effects are like bubbles. I don't know if that mileage will vary throughout all the other characters. It does seem as though they're pulling out like all the stops for every possible fucking Sonic character you can think of. We've got characters from Sonic Unleashed. We've got characters from the dumb Netflix show. Really anything you could fathom. A
little disappointed that we don't have comic characters, but like I can also see why.
Well, I think the final boss should be Ken Penders threatening to like destroy the Sonic universe out of lawsuits and make horny art of everybody.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. And then Nintendo was supposed to be present at Summer Games Fest, but I think that was very nominally. But they did present, and I figure we could finish our early games corner and swing back to the State of Play in the newsroom. There was a really big direct on Donkey Kong Bonanza, and they revealed that the reason they've been taking so long with this and we haven't had a Donkey Kong game in a long time is that they were secretly working on the best game ever made. This looks fucking insane. I have no clue where to begin with Bonanza. It looks feature-rich and gigantic. I have already pre-ordered it. It is, it was really worth it walking into every Switch-era direct, hoping for Donkey Kong and being disappointed, because this is like the ultimate victory. This is exactly what I wanted, and I'm going to cherish every polygon of this fucking game when it finally comes out in like a couple of weeks, frankly.
Yeah, it looks great.
It does look very good.
Oh man, we have the reveal of young Pauline, and people who invest in Nintendo character timelines are kind of in shambles. I think I think, hey, okay, question. I don't think Mario and Baby Mario are like the same guy necessarily.
Well, yeah, they're not the same guy because one's a baby.
Yeah, I just never really like felt it was that pertinent. I think it's just someone named their baby Mario.
I think the baby characters are like, I've always been very confused. It's like, who's like, man, I can't wait to get Mario Kart and play as Baby Mario.
I think Baby Mario and Luigi are kind of cute. I think if you're veering past that, you're like stretching it a little. Speaking of, oh man, and fucking, a lot of people feel K. Rool is kind of hiding somewhere in this game. Some people say he's the bad guy in disguise. I'm not so sure about that, but it'd be cool if he popped up by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've also got the Bananza forms, which allow DK to transform into different so he can do like bigger monkey and be really strong. There's ostrich Bananza that flies. There's zebra Bananza who's fast as fuck. Do we know if there's supposed to be more than those? If there's a couple more Bananza forms?
I think that's all of them.
Yeah, it's just those three right now.
Okay. I'm hoping there's one or two they kept a surprise.
You have to complete the cabaret management minigame. Get the fourth style.
Yeah,
Willow.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and Willow kind of segued us nicely into Mario Kart, which I bought my Switch 2 while I was over there in California. We got to play a little, and it's the most non-controversial and great game of all time. No other notes.
It has no problems at all.
No, yeah, it's the perfect $80 launch title. I, want to be
90. It should have been 100 actually.
You know what? I wish that every time I turned on my Switch 2, a little hand popped out of it, and I had to like tip it so they could like open a velvet rope so I could be graced by how great Mario Kart World is.
Yeah, no, you know that old patent from Microsoft, how they were going to be like, oh, you stand in front of the TV, and if you want to get the ad to go past, you got to be like, McDonald's! They should have done that. You just like, whenever the Donkey Kong Bonanza trailer comes on, you got to be like, Bonanza!
Banana! You're joking, but I would love an excuse to just go banana every day.
You can do it for free.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I want to hold.
No one is stopping you.
My neighbor knocks on the. Shut up. I want to hold the truth simultaneously that Mario Kart has been that there are a lot of like anti-consumer and kind of stupid practices around Mario Kart. They made the online a lot less fun recently by focusing more on the rally tracks than the 3-lap tracks. That being said, I've been putting time into this game just about every day since I've gotten it, and having close to the time of my life, I think that it appeals to my weird sensibilities really closely. I feel I've always been really in the camp that, like, and I know I'm wrong about this, because I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe fixes a lot of its problems, but I've always felt vanilla Mario Kart 8 has just been one of the worst first impressions a game has ever left me, and it's always left a bad taste in my mouth. I think it is, like, a very dry and safe game. And I know Deluxe fixes a lot of it, but first impressions go a long way. I think Mario Kart World was, like, the shot in the arm that I needed, and, I think it is tremendously fun. I just, like... And... I do kind of agree with a lot of people in that I wish there was more to do in free roam, but I'm still getting lost in free roam and, like, having fun finding little things, and I find I'm just, like, discovering weird Easter eggs and, like, features every time I hop on and explore some area I haven't yet. I think this game is so friggin' fun. What did y'all... I let you all have, like, you had to like pay me a few dollars, but I did let you all look at me
We
play.
had to stand up and
Yeah.
scream Bananza.
Well, it was so that you could tip Shiggy.
Yeah. It was only fair that if I have to tip it every time, and he would notice if I passed the controller, and he would pop out and be like, "Did you share your virtual game card?" And I'd be like, "No." What were your early impressions when you all got a turn with it?
I thought it was fine. I think, like, beyond that, nothing really stood. I will say, the costumes, fantastic idea.
Oh, so good.
To let screen, however, I don't know what were they thinking.
Yeah, I really don't get what was going on. There is a button that sorts every character, so so it's like all the Marios are next to each other and so on. It's kind of ridiculous that they made a button just in, like, they thought, like, in case somebody wants that, you know?
Yeah, it was really fun. I think it has some of the best tracks, and the soundtrack is fantastic. And the overall vibes are really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the character select is just insane. I think that the actual roster of characters is also really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah,
because
they kind of organize characters into like main characters and NPC characters, and there are genuinely like mainline Mario Kart drivers that would be independent of any like NPC designation that still aren't in this game. And I'm talking like Diddy Kong, Honey Queen, Rob, and Paratroopa, even. Yeah, technically, yeah.
They mutilated his corpse.
Right. Mm-hmm. Did you have more thoughts about the roster, Dev?
Well, yeah, just, I mean, overall, because when they first revealed it and showed all those characters, I think it really gave the impression that it was going to be, like, every previous racer is here.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Rob not being there sucks.
Well, it's like, if you're putting in Fishbone, I'm gonna kind of hold my breath for Diddy Kong, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and, yeah, most of the side characters don't have costumes or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And just overall, like, the free roam is neat, but as a total package, I think that World is not worth anywhere close to $80. This is a $60 game.
And and I did the bundle, which basically made it $50, which I think is the fairest possible thing you could do. I can't fathom buying this on its own for $80, no.
Right.
For whatever it's worth, and there is a thing where it's like, who the fuck wants to play as, I don't know, Sidestepper? They at least, put in some cute animations for them. There's a lot of... Excuse me, there is a thing where it's like, oh, who's gonna be fucking Lakitu? But he's doing these cute little poses. I think that it has a lot of personality for whatever it's worth. When you're driving around as, like, Wario, and you pass one of those Yoshi drive-thrus, he kind of pats his belly sometimes, like, oh, like... and I think, it's one thing to cram a billion characters, but, if you they actually put in the work with each one to animate and pose them really well. The characters in certain costumes do, like, exclusive poses, so when you're Vampire Waluigi, he gets little bats when he does a cool trick.
Yeah, and when you're the cartoon version of Donkey Kong, he drives around in a fancy car.
I mean, with the, like, Retro 64 Mario in Odyssey, I think that's, like, not a non-possibility. In Mario Kart 8, did they have the thing where if you kind of tail closely behind someone, you get a little boost?
Oh, that's been in place for a while, yeah.
Really? Oh,
I think that was in 64.
Really? I fully blanked on that. That's interesting. And I played quite a bit of 64. It feels... I wonder if it's just because there's more characters on the track that I'm noticing it more. And I'm also just dipping my toes into more challenging difficulty levels. I'm trying to clear every cup and rally on every difficulty. I'm within the mirror range right now. And they make it... Because, I've heard some people be like, it feels like Fury Road, because to accommodate 24 characters, the pathways are gigantic. And so there are times where I'm just getting, like, pelted with fucking shells by the 20 people behind me, and that can be frustrating. But, I think it does take small... Because I think when you get a shell or a mushroom or a banana, it automatically goes out behind you. And I know not everyone's nuts about that, but I do kind of like the way it kind of pressures you to make a choice with it. Because somebody could bump into it from behind you, out of your control. You might need to think fast and use it to protect yourself from an item. I do just note... And maybe it's because, like, I played the other Mario Karts when I was younger, and I didn't dip my toes so much in those higher difficulties. I am just noticing the item economy kind of playing into decisions more. Whereas older Mario Karts, I might go as far as to say you don't need a ton of skills or decisions to drive good.
Well, and the main thing that's causing all that is also kind of one of the biggest complaints I have about the game, which is that the rubber banding is absolutely insane.
Oh, I don't disagree about that. There are definitely... There's so many rallies where I'm leading the barnyard the entire time. Then for the last stretch, everybody just, like, road runners past me, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
there's so little speed variation between carts that you can't really get ahead unless you have items.
There's often rallies where, and it reminds me a bit of F-Zero. In that game, there's 30 characters on the track, and what I like about it, and that I also kind of like about Mario Kart World, is that because you can earn points spread across 30 characters instead of like 8 or 12, you don't really need to get first place every single time. Like, you kind of should, but if you get 5th once, kind of haphazardly in a cup, it doesn't kneecap you the way that would in, like, 64. It's very different. And the difference, though, in F-Zero, let's say you place 3rd, the character who places 1st gets marked as your rival. And in the next race, you can crash into them and potentially kill them and make it so they get no points. And you just fully stretch your legs across. So I've had Grand Prix where I'm like, okay, it's Rosalina who's fucking... keeps getting first place ahead of me. If I can really fuck with her and aim all my items at her, even if I get 5th and she just gets completely fucked over, I can still clinch a win. And I like that approach, but it almost feels like it doesn't need to be necessary in a game like this.
Yeah, it's probably the least, raw mechanical skill requirement Mario. Like, it's very accessible for everybody.
Well, and then there's also, like, the auto-turning, the auto-acceleration, like,
and that's on by default, and the first time I played, I was like, what the do you not fall in this game?
No, that's what I thought, too. I was like, what's going on?
I think it was the same in 8 Deluxe, though. Isn't it also on by default in 8 Deluxe?
I think you're right, because I feel last time I looked at, like, I grabbed a clip of that game for my next video, and there was that antenna sticking out of their cars. Which I think designates the auto-turning.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. For all those... And I think all those... I don't think it's a perfect game. Like, for all those criticisms, I do just, like... Because, like, I was the kind of kid that when I hit a wall in a racing game and I just found I couldn't keep up in the harder difficulties, and if I was playing, like... Diddy Kong Racing or Crash Team Racing, and those games had the big hub worlds, I would just fucking, like, get lost in those. And this game is that, but you're intended to do it. If I had this game as a kid, I would never need another racing game again. And I'm not saying that makes up for all of its flaws, I'm just saying there's something very special in that free roam mode that's scratching that super particular itch. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It's very cool how they were able to actually, like, connect all the tracks together in a way that feels somewhat organic.
Yeah.
Because that is something I always wondered about as a kid, is, like, where are these tracks, like, diegetically? Like, it's just kind of neat to think about, and I think they did a good job of connecting them together like that.
Absolutely, yeah. There's so many, like, if you can just, like, And some of them are like in the fucking sky. Like there's a Sky High Sunday where you can just fall. And I'm playing as fucking baby Luigi, veering off the rails and falling like 50 stories and splashing into the water. And I drive a bunch of feet and I just come across like jellyfish I can bounce off of that I never would have found if I didn't just fucking get lost. And I'm like, that's so fucking special. So I'm really happy with this game for everything that is wrong with it. Maybe my favorite soundtrack of a video game of all time. I found like a YouTube playlist of the songs, and I think it's north of 100 songs. And I don't know if they're all rearranged, but it's like music from every Mario, Donkey Kong, Wario, and Yoshi game you can imagine, but like done with what feels like a Smash Brothers Melee arrangement and orchestra. It's fucking gorgeous. So that takes us to the main toast and roast. And I'm just gonna rattle off everything that at least 2 of us have watched this month, and I might have forgotten a few. We'll get into it. Something to the tune of, and some of these I might only say the name of it, and we might not get to fully discussing. We're just gonna kind of let the good times roll if we're ready for that. This month alone, we saw releases of The Phoenician Scheme, Dogma 20th Anniversary, Killer of Killers, Predator, Asterisk, you'll find out why, Ballerina from the world of John Wick, Elio, Mithrigan 2.0, KPop Demon Hunters, Materialists, Life of Chuck, and 28 Years Later. So we have...
I don't think Dab and I have seen 28 Years Later.
I said at least 2, but I guess that's only 1. I still just want... Whoopsie daisies. Oh well. And again, maybe we'll just say the name. We'll see how the conversation kinda veers us. Very healthy month for movie-going. I think the strikes dam kinda broke. Specifically, Elio was supposed to be out, I think, last year. And because strikes occurred, they delayed it super long into this year. And Dav, I've been actually super anxious to hear more of your thoughts on that one, because you were like super high on it, to my memory.
Oh yeah, I really had a good time with it. I just found it to be, kind of relatable and just like cool. I think this is kind of the best use of like the art style that it has. I know that people are complaining about that art style being used a lot, and I think that's valid, but I think it also just like really fits the tone of this movie. And it's just, it's just a very nice, good emotional story. There's something that somewhat resembles a villain in this. I know he's not like a full-on like bad guy, but right. He's an actual like cool antagonist to have, which is nice.
He's so good, yeah. He's Brad Garrett, who I always love. Big bad Brad Garrett.
Yeah. It's nice too that he's not like a plot twist villain.
Right.
Yeah. It was a great time.
This movie changed directors a lot in all of its delays and like had kind of a troubled production, but it fell into the hands of Domi Shi, who directed Turning Red. And my big praise for that one is that the kids in that movie were like, this is when I taught 6th grade, 100%. These kids feel so authentic. And Elio, if those kids are 6th grade, Elio is like my 4th, 5th graders to a T. Especially, they don't make him, a bad kid, but he's been through a lot, and he's difficult. And I've had kids about that difficult before. And again, it's not a matter of he likes causing trouble or, I think there's easy traps you can fall into, but, every poor decision he makes, I was like, I've seen kids in that same position when I'm teaching. He has this very... He struck me as kind of autism coded. I don't know if y'all felt that way, but...
Yeah, I think...
Very much so.
And of course, a ton of trauma. He's lost his parents. He's living with his aunt who was just like, didn't ask for any of this and feels really ill-equipped even if she loves her nephew. And I think that's, I don't know if this is insensitive, but it's a flavor of difficult kid that a lot of movies try to tackle that I think this one does particularly well.
Yeah, I'll say the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, this is good. It's like a 7 out of 10. And then I saw it again with my mom and Jay, because my mom visited for a little bit, and I liked it a lot more. I thought it was, like, a lot of the emotional bits resonated a bit for me.
Oh.
I feel like sometimes, and this, like, has happened with a lot of movies, like, I saw the TV Glow as well. Sometimes I'll go in expecting something, and when it doesn't reach the expectations I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I didn't like this. But then the second time I watch it, and I'm able to just, like, look at it as it is, I can enjoy it a lot more.
I'm taking that as your request that you want to watch Armageddon with me again.
You know, I was going to roast that movie if we were doing
We'll see about time. We'll get to it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Dav, you said it was pretty. Oh, sorry. Did you have more to add, Willow?
No, I was just going to say, you know, yesterday, J-Dab and I went to see Mithrigan 2.0, and I was talking about, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, toast and roast this on the podcast. I was gonna roast Armageddon, but I think Tommy might toast it. And Jay just goes, well, it would be pretty funny if Tommy toasted it, and then immediately after you were like, and I'm roasting the thing that Tommy jumped.
Do we have more to add about Elio, or do we want to talk about, you mentioned Jermaine to Mithrigan, do we want to move on to that?
We tried the AMC themed glorp, and it was fine.
You wanted glorp for like 2 weeks leading up to that.
I mean, okay, the AMC bias is very weird. They keep advertising stuff on their screens that they don't have. Like,
yeah.
They were advertising the glorp, and we went up and we were like, hey, give me some of the glorp. And they're like, we actually don't have the glorp yet. And it's like, why is it up on the screen? And then yesterday, when we went to see Mithrigan 2.0, they had like this movie nacho flavored popcorn. And I'm like, oh, that sounds fucking awesome. Go up there, hey, can I have that? And they're like, we don't have that. Why is it up there then?
No, it's funny because they I also ordered the nacho popcorn, and they told me that they were out, and they were like, do you want the caramel? And I was like, no, I'm diabetic. Can I just get like regular popcorn instead? And like they had to go like talk to their manager and shit, and then they come back with like the little remainder of nacho popcorn that they had, and then like a box of regular popcorn, and I just like combined them. It worked out pretty well for me. I mean, they just gave it to me for some reason.
I'm fucking eating like a king at the Alamo Draft House. They had a Father's Day... They had a Father's Day meatloaf sandwich that made me feel like I was fucking walking on air. That thing is delicious.
Brag about it some more, will ya?
Would you rather have a Father's Day meatloaf sandwich or a Father's Day meatball sandwich?
You seemed pretty disappointed with Mithrigan.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of weird because, like, everyone's like, oh, they knew that the first one was kind of campy, and so this one, they're, like, leaning into it. But a lot of this movie takes itself more seriously than the first, and it's really strange.
That sounds, even with, like, Mithrigan dancing to Chaperone?
Yeah.
Even with... Yeah.
There's plenty of, like, humor. It's just, like, I think the overarching plot is very much trying to make a statement about AI.
Yeah.
And it's, like, not a good one, to be frank.
Mm-hmm. I heard some people kind of in a place of, like, why are we saying the answer to bad AI is good AI?
It's like, well, I understand on one level of, like, AI can be useful in certain fields.
Like in the new Wallace and Gromit movie, where it's like Wallace had to learn to use it in moderation, so to say.
Like, it shouldn't be used for art, but, like, in the medical field, it can be invaluable, and that's great. But this movie, I feel like, just kind of gets away from itself and its own message by like trying to portray people who are anti-AI as like
terrorists, pretty
psychopaths.
much. Yeah.
That sucks. I don't like hearing that.
And they really try to be like, we gotta find a balance with the technology. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but like you could have had that message come across in the story better instead of just outwardly making the anti-AI people the villains.
Yeah, and also,
okay, yeah.
I will say, Mithrigan is, like, definitively a hero. She's not an anti-hero or anything. She is... Like, I don't know if... Do you care about spoilers for Mithrigan?
I'm seeing it tomorrow. I can't imagine I care that... Go ahead. It'll be fine.
I guess by the end of the movie, Mithrigan is basically a different character than she was in the first movie. She is explicitly a hero who is, like, a good person.
And, like, it's obviously borrowing a lot from Terminator 2, but that one is explicitly, this is a different physical robot from the T-800 in the first one. That's a different situation.
Yeah. I'll say that Megan is the best part of the movie by far, though. And, like, whenever she's, like, on screen, it's like, oh, this is a good time.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of like, it's hard to imagine this is, really, like, I was kind of approaching, like, how bad could this be if you have Megan, like, getting in Terminator fights and then dancing about it, but it sounds like there's a little more fluff to it than that.
Yeah, well, those parts are great, it's just the rest of the movie, like, kind of sucks.
Is Gemma still, like, kind of neat? Because I liked her a lot in the first one, honestly.
Gab stepped out of the movie last night and was like, yeah, the main girl was, like, the worst actress.
Aw.
I don't know, because I don't remember her being all that bad in the first movie. In this movie, she is, like, completely phoning it in.
That sucks. I like her. I like that actress and other things, so that kind of blows to hear. That is what it... Does she get to fight, though? Because she, like, gets on some armor and Mithrigan, like, controls it.
Yeah, and that's
true. Yeah.
I'm gonna have some fun with that. Let's see, and speaking of we also kind of had an underperformance. Is this one more disappointing than Ballerina? Because I think we all kind of walked out of that one kind of like, I don't know.
I mean, I would say it's more disappointing than Ballerina.
I'd say it's less disappointing than Ballerina, just because I had way higher expectations for Ballerina.
Ballerina was really... that was a Frankenstein movie. I hate to say it. That was another that was supposed to come out last year. It's credited as directed by Len Wiseman, who made the Underworld movies. And I think that the cut at the time was just, like, not doing so hot. They bring on Chad Stileski, who did all the other John Wick movies, to retool specifically the fight scenes. And I think that causes a bit of disbalance between the narrative and the fight scenes and then also Keanu walks on for like 2 minutes and kind of doesn't add much. I love Ana de Armas as much as the next guy. This was just, I think, not the best use of her talents. A lot of people pointed out that she actually works really well comedically in things like Knives Out. And in this, she had to play deadly serious, and I love a sexy assassin anti-hero character. I'm not gonna, like, remember Eve in my catalog of favorites the way I remember Furiosa and The Bride, which is kind of a bummer. I was pretty bummed out by it.
Yeah, it was just kind of it's not even the worst movie in the world.
No.
It's just like it just
Could've
feels
been
like
better.
it kind of retreads a lot of ground that's already been covered by other John Wick movies, and
Every, like, cool thing that happens, I can remember a John Wick movie that does it better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the fight scenes are not even really that great.
Mm-mm. Well, I feel a mistake they kind of make is that, and the way Chad structures the fight sequences like a John Wick fight sequence, and it's like, hey, you got the burger cook to make a good burger. Sure, it's gonna be entertaining. But I think, and we were talking about it after, and Dav, you were like, why was she taking so many risks with those grenades and like using such a dangerous choice of weapon? And the more I think about it, that's like a choice John Wick would make, because I don't think he cares as much about his safety. Whereas I don't think that's quite as becoming of Eve. And I think I'm starting to realize they tried to make this character who's different from John fight like John, and it kind of just felt like they were going through the motions that way.
Yeah, but like my main, I don't even mean to say that it's like a John Wick thing specifically to do the more dangerous thing. It's just like John Wick is super efficient about the way that he kills. Like he will just kind of pick up whatever's right next to him, even if it's impractical, and he'll find a way to use it. So it would be one thing if, like, the grenades were right next to her. She walks into a giant closet that is filled with, like, assault rifles and shit, and pistols, and she walks all the way to the back corner to a box of grenades and uses those instead. And that is kind of my main issue with it, where it's like, we're choosing spectacle over any amount of practicality, and it's like, it's not even really being paid off all that well.
And that's, it's the moments where she does something weird, like uses an ice skate or a power water hose, that I really remember about this movie. And there's not even much, like, ballerina stuff. It's like she trained in the ballerina. Yeah, there's, like, and not to say, like, I don't really know what you would do with that, but she trains in this, like, ballerina motif, exits that training school, and then fights kind of like John Wick a little bit.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of it seems like Norman Reedus also just got shafted in the cup big time. He's not nearly as present as you'd think.
Yeah.
So this bummer on that, and it's also, I think, quietly underperforming a bit. And Lionsgate was at CinemaCon all in on John Wick. They're doing the Kane movie. We're doing John Wick 5 somehow. But we have this opening okay and then sinking like a stone. And then that Continental show basically failing to exist. I wonder a little if they're gonna, like, walk it back a bit. Probably not anytime soon. But I wonder if this is, like, kind of the beginning of the end. Not that I'd be necessarily super upset about that. It does feel a little like they're running out of mileage on the whole John Wick thing.
I hope it's not just, like, a Chad Stileski thing, though, because I'm currently watching something that I'm going to talk about next month when it's actually finished. It's very close to finished. That Chad Stileski was very heavily involved in, and it is just a massive disappointment. But no spoilers on what that is yet. We'll find out next month.
He's making his Highlander movie, too, with Henry Cavill, which I hope is cool. It's definitely, if it's, like, big swords, like the original, that's a different avenue.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah. All right. You know what movie did have good use of grenades?
What's that, Tommy?
The Phoenician Scheme. We all like that one a lot.
Very true.
That was a really fun one. Not that, and it's a good Wes Anderson. I don't know if we need to. I felt really seen by it. There's kind of a newcomer actress there, Mia Therapleton, and I think she's somebody's daughter. It's either Kate Winslet or Naomi Watts, and I get their names confused because of the W's, and I feel kind of dumb about that. She's one of their daughters, and I just felt, she's practicing to be a nun. She's not quite a nun yet. Her dad is this billionaire tycoon who's kind of a motherfucker. I think the bit is that because, Benicio del Toro is so fucking rich that he's constantly within the crosshairs of assassins, and he is just miraculously surviving. And there's this principle I felt strongly that the rich and evil can never just, like, fall victim to the people who hate them. And that's not about anyone in particular in real life that I would wish that upon. Wink, wink. No way. I just felt, there's a lot of bits where he's just like head to toe done up in arrows and finding dynamite in his plane, and they're like, when's that set to explode? And they're like 18 minutes. Oh, we land in 10. We're fine. And I'm like, I think it's just that very dry humor I really like, and I love her name is Liesel, the character played by Mia Therapleton, who just wants to do the most right possible thing in a world where that's just like increasingly harder. And it's not about her necessarily giving up on her values, but kind of flexing but keeping her dignity. There's a point where the nunnery and the church where she houses with is like, you should accept this money from your dad. And she's like, I thought you wouldn't want me to. And they're like, it's a lot of money. And it is kind of about living in the 21st century where everything is fucking evil, and you can keep your dignity and acknowledge that, but also kind of roll with the punches that way. It's something that I've had on my mind a lot recently. So I really loved that movie.
I think we're forgetting the most important part of that movie. Walter White balling.
Walter, what that scene fucking rocked.
Oh, yeah.
Call it in the air. Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston in University Tees. Just bawling.
Jesse, I'm fucking bawling.
We also all saw, it is the, I think 20th or, no, maybe 25th. The 25th anniversary release of Dogma. This is a Kevin Smith film that was in movie jail for lots of years, because Harvey Weinstein, from his prison cell, would not budge on giving him back the rights. He got some funding together and negotiated well and got some huge supporters that let him finally re-release it. I think it is a little more... I liked it more as, like, an artifact than as a movie, because I do think it has, like... I think it's a lot of fun. I was like, I'm more happy that this is for, like, the media preservation aspect than I am to be necessarily, like, watching this, which isn't to say it's, like, terrible. There's just a lot of, like, early 2000s, like, in there.
Well, it's mostly Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's a bit of a, like, Scooby-Doo meets Mega Man type thing.
Sorry. I don't know why that caught me off guard.
I had never seen actually sat down and watched a Jay and Silent Bob movie before this, and I've decided that I hate them.
I don't even, you know what? I kind of liked Bob in it. It's Jay who I think is the problem.
Yeah. Now, okay.
I just want to say, I think Silent Bob gets my favorite laugh in the movie when he throws the guys off the train and and he just goes, no ticket.
I just kind of rolled my eyes. It's just like
I thought it was a little
straight up like rip off of the fucking Indiana Jones thing without like. It's just them quoting Indiana Jones' Last Crusade.
I genuinely forgot that was a Last Crusade quote, so that does make me like it a little less.
It plays out exactly the same way, and I was like, whatever.
Oh, I have not seen Last Crusade recently enough to... Okay, that does change it a little. I thought the dry line delivery was kind of good, but that does... Whoops-a-daisies. Willow, I'm sorry, I totally cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, my Jay is sitting next to us right now, so I have to make it clear that when I say I fucking despise Jay, I am talking about the character from Dogma, so that way my partner is not sitting next to me and me just being like, I fucking hate Jay, fucking Jay.
Well, you say Jay from Dogma. Are you aware that he's in at least, I think, five other films and a Clerks animated series?
Yes. No, it was like, okay, because I see people, like, post that screenshot of Jay going, like, hello, me and Silent Bob are pro-choice, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a cool character. I didn't realize that immediately after that, he's like, give me a blowjob, have sex with me.
Yeah, I fucking hate Silent Bob as well, frankly. Sorry, honey, not you.
My pet iguana, Silent Bob. Who I named
overall,
that independent of the character, sorry.
my iguana Silent Bob, my husband Silent Bob. Everybody in my life is named Silent Bob. I can't criticize the character now.
So, and before I make my point, I feel like you were about to say something.
I just wanted to point out that, like, I think so. It's very much a thing of the time to like have overly horny dudes and have them be kind of weird, and like that used to be super common, and I don't think that trope is necessarily all that bad all the time. Like something like Austin Powers, where it's like he's very horny, but he's not like a dick.
And it's not. It's satirized. Sorry.
I was gonna say, he specifically, like, there's a scene where, like, a drunk person is like, fuck me, Austin, and he's like, no, that's not right, you're drunk.
Yeah, and, like, it's satirizing the chauviny of, like, James Bond, historically, and other spy movies.
Yeah, and I think there's a way to have, like, a horny character and still have it be, like, at least a little bit endearing, where it's not, like, totally creepy and weird, but, like, like, Jay and Silent Bob just remind me of, like, college kids who were just like super disrespectful and like, you gotta suck my dick, it's lame.
I have a certain college classmate in my head, and I wonder if we're thinking of the same guy that we shouldn't duck on the podcast.
I don't know if we do.
Will Pickles it. I'm thinking of like Tome Pickles and those guys.
Yeah.
I'll pickles it.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is definitely, I had him in mind, yeah.
No, I think Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are really fun in it, and I kind of wish more of the movie was about them.
I agree. I thought the like concept of like, I have always liked the concept of like fallen angels and that type of thing.
And they take the form of two kind of schlubby Boston podcast bros, and that was a little bit my shit.
Yeah, I like them, yeah. Everything outside of the Jay and Silent Bob stuff is, for the most part, pretty, like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the lore of it and all, it's just, yeah, the comedy can really fall flat sometimes.
I agree. I didn't love... Because there's the main character as well, and I think it's cool that the main character is working at an abortion clinic and becomes this stand-in for Mary of Magdalene, and I didn't love the ending being the Immaculate Conception of her. I thought that was a little gross. I was like,
yeah.
Even though I guess she wanted to have a kid and, like, couldn't, but, like, still just, like, and now you're pregnant of it all was like, okay.
Well, I mean, it's hard to... it's really hard to, try to present that in a way that is at all comfortable when it's, like, let's be honest, it's a plot point in a 2,000-year-old fictional book.
Yeah,
and it's just because it's so popular, it's kind of a trope that can happen, and we can recognize how fucking weird it is as a concept.
I agree there. Yeah. It is kind of, expecting to view everything from the Bible in a modern context is going to raise some eyebrows. Did we consume any other Bible-related content this month?
No.
It's funny you should say that, Tommy.
Because like, we didn't, and like, there's no irony, there's nothing funny about it, there's no coincidence, we just didn't watch it.
It seems like you're being you're acting kind of like a misbehaving child, but let me tell you a lovely story.
Now,
I don't need to hear a story.
Don't bury the lead. Don't bury the lead, because the true punchline is that this was one movie of a double feature.
That's true.
For many months, I was like, hey, did you hear about the new Predator movie, Killer of Killers? And Willow would, like, giggle, and I'd be like, what's so funny? And she goes, oh, nothing. It sounds like King of Kings. And that's what I realized. In my, I'd say, genius of marketing, we could build this as a double feature. And the movie event double feature of the century was born. Killer of Kings 2025, in which we watched Predator Killer of Killers and immediately chased it with Angel Studios' King of Kings, the animated story of Jesus, in which Oscar Isaac plays Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And he completely phones it in.
Oh, yeah, no. Killer of Killers is really cool. I think especially the samurai shit is really fucking awesome in that. They do some insane fight choreo. It does get a little bit Marvel-y at the end in a way I don't love, and it seems like they're kind of loving it, you know, running with it. But, you know, I only have so much room to be a brat about franchisey stuff in this day and age. It's just kind of the way things are now. Still super cool, that one.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, King of Kings, starring, so it's got Oscar Isaac as Jesus, Kenneth Branagh is Charles Dickens, the actual author of King of Kings, who wrote it to introduce his children to the story of Jesus Christ, and they kind of, autobiographize that in this film. I think Mark Hamill is somewhere in there. Pierce Brosnan is the emperor who has Jesus crucified. It looks like a Cocomelon movie. Everyone's head is huge. All of that money went to Oscar Isaac. Man, is it both of your bottom of the year so far?
Oh yeah, I think it's repulsive. I think I don't know. I mean, obviously, I have a complicated relationship with religion, both as someone who has that in their past, and also a trans woman.
Yeah.
But so I'm but I kind of think the way they put it forward is also really gross. The movie ends with Charles Dickens' son hopping in happiness and going, "I'm gonna tell everyone this story." Or no, he says everyone should hear this story. Everyone should be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
And well, happy ending. That child in real life only lived to be 20.
Well,
yeah.
I guess he couldn't tell that many people mathematically then. Oh man. I have it. I have it one spot ahead of the Minecraft movie, but not any further.
I think that's a little atrocious.
Really?
I think the Minecraft movie is bad, but I think King of Kings is evil.
I don't know. I think you'd be more disgusted by my current favorite movie of the year that I kind of had a small crisis and had to realize was actually
Bananza, right?
Yeah, because we're officially halfway through the year, and I tried to pretend that I liked Sinners and Phoenician Scheme both more than Better Man, but I was just thinking truly, which movie I've seen this year would I be anxious to watch again? And then I booted up my third viewing of Better Man and was like, oh, this still slaps, god damn it.
I'm having a similar crisis about another movie that we're going to talk about. That I imagine is going to go in a very similar direction for me.
No, totally, yeah.
I'm curious to hear what this is. I don't think I am aware.
Well, I also want to clear, because Better Man is it was if we go, I kind of hope something dethrones it, only in the sense that if we make it all the way to the Toasties, and we're halfway there now, which is kind of scary to think about.
Better Man is not winning the fucking movie of the year.
Well, no, I'm more self-conscious about the fact that it's kind of a 2024 release.
Hundreds of Beavers was
right.
Not a 2024, and that's still, that won the Toastie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that despite the controversy stuff, Together is going to be my movie of the year.
I'm interested to see how you feel about that. Not that I've even seen it. That is a really interesting news piece.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I'm kind of a corporate schmuck, is something that, there's a lot of people playing devil's advocate, and what I think is really, and I hate to, like, side with the big corporation over the little guy, but the narrative does go that when they sent in that script to the agents of Alison Brie and Dave Franco, it was rejected within 24 hours, and it does seem to, most people would argue that if your script is rejected in 24 hours, they did not look at it. And I think, unfortunately, I think it's equally, I'm not saying it's impossible that, plagiarism was, I just like to keep my hands clear and say, it's possible. A lot of professional opinions do seem to, and, like, if you look at some of the notes, there are pretty damning similarities. I got spoiled on how Together ends. I won't tell you. It is awfully specific as far as similarities to
I guess the same as the script that they had.
Yes. And in a way that's like, okay, that's hard to chalk up to coincidence. But, in a galaxy, in this best of all worlds of random atoms, who knows? I also kind of feel you should give some leeway to the little guy and keep a healthy skepticism. So I didn't mean to, that's my annoying soapbox of the day. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's fair. And also, like I do agree, too, that, like, this very much, it could be plagiarized. Like, it is a possibility. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I should find the movie that it's plagiarizing. It's got, like, 30 watches on Letterboxd, and I have searched, like, all the ends of it's called, I think, Better Half. Yeah. I have searched all the ends of the internet. I can't find a way to watch it. And I feel like that's also, like, this might be like a conspiracy theory brain, but, like, if it was so plagiarized, why can't I watch it? Why can't I just, like, get out there? Where is it?
Right.
Where is this film?
Because the idea, it was a small, like, festival thing that was sent to the estate of Brie and Franco, but was turned back in 24 hours. And you can't take, like, thorough notes in that much time, I kind of feel. Now, there's wiggle room there. There is room for what you ultimately, and something that I've had to repeat to myself a lot is, if we are consumers of media, and we're discussers of media, we're not arbiters of morality. I watched a fucking Brad Pitt movie and enjoyed it last night. I'm not in charge of how good or bad that is, considering what a shitty person he's turning out to be. Like, that's just where we are. And that can be context that plays into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, like, I'm always in it for really good body horror. They say it's this year's The Substance, and that is just, like, a siren song that I cannot pass up.
David, yeah. David, what's the movie that's giving you a similar Film of the Year crisis? I think I know what you're going to say.
Let me tell you about a little movie called KPop Demon Hunters.
Oh, so good.
Jesus, man, what a surprise. I mean, like, it looked pretty good from the trailers, but I don't think I could have anticipated, like, at this point, I'd say out of all the songs in the soundtrack, I think only, like, one or maybe two of them are not currently in my, like, main Spotify playlist at this point. Because it just, like, more than anything, the musical numbers in this film go so hard.
Oh yeah, I am, like, the fact that there are musical battle scenes in this exactly scratches an itch that I didn't know I had.
I would say also there was, like, there was a point where it's like you hear the concept and it's like the Sony studio behind Spider-Verse and a few other really great films, and it's like, okay, but I think this is gonna be like a fun 7 or 8 at best. But it's like they actually have shit to say in this movie that's really fucking good.
Yeah, I if I gave it another watch, it might be a 9. One of the things that, like, stood out to me. I love that they're like the main female characters are very like traditionally beautiful, but they also give them the opportunity to be like really silly, like they make really funny faces. I think I think that's something that genuinely like I don't want to be like this hasn't been done since the good old days, but I can't remember a time since like Darkstalkers that like traditionally attractive characters also had like basically cartoon faces, like as much as I don't really care about her Morrigan.
Yeah. Well, and going kind of hand in hand with that is just I feel like recently the trend has sort of been to like, if we want to have a strong female character, then we have to make her kind of conform more to like traditionally masculine traits. Like there's been kind of a reluctance to have like a full on like, this is like a girly girl who like puts on makeup and like wears dresses and performs and dances and sings, but she's also a badass. That has, I think, kind of become a little more rare, and I think that this movie strikes a really good balance there with that.
And like I described K-pop as something that I was like, I described it as like, I know I kind of like K-pop, I just am afraid to get like to enter that world. Like it's kind of like it's like wrestling where it's like I'll just be lost, and like I can't afford to be like deeply into something so broad. But I was like, oh no. And like as someone who loves like Western pop media, like his Dua Lipa music and all of that, this was like giving me the similar vibes where it's like pop stars who also kick ass, and it's altogether fun that way. It's also very serendipitous that each of the three girls kinda coded to one of us instantly, and we just immediately, Willow liked Rumi, I liked
Mira.
I forgot Mira. I almost called her Milan for some reason because she's kind of the fashiony one. And Chloe, was that the last one?
Zoe,
sorry, my bad. Just kind of immediately, there's a member of the band for everybody.
And honestly, really good villains.
They were cool. Yeah. They were cool as hell, yeah.
The villain song in this is so fucking awesome.
So good.
I also learned, apparently the speaking voice for like, because I don't think this is a spoiler, the bad guys, at least initially, are this like group of male K-pop artists. I think I saw somewhere that the guy who voices the main one is like a K-pop star and like had to work really and he also does the English voice, and he had to work like, you know, really hard to like get his performance so good, because it is like, you know, they say a lot that like performances, especially voice performances, are so different across cultures, and like, you know, especially across languages, there's going to be different words you like oh my gosh, what's the word for like putting them in bold in real life? Emphasize. And like he does it just like so well. I think everyone in this cast is really good. Shout out to my friend Alan Lee, who is the English voice for the K-pop artist, the villain with the hair that covers his eyes. I think
Mystery Saja.
Yeah, Mystery Saja. I think just everyone does a really good job. I was extremely impressed with the entire thing.
The voice of Genu, who you were talking about, I don't think that he was. I mean, he might have been like a K-pop star. I know for a fact that he's an actor over there, and that he's been in like K-dramas, because there's a scene in this movie where he shoulder checks Rumi, the main girl, and there's like this super romantic like song playing, and he like reaches his hand out. That is beat for beat. The song included is from a drama that he stars in.
Oh,
like that whole sequence is just a direct reference to that.
That's really fun.
I also really want to praise, I think this movie has, I don't want to spoil the ending, and I'm going to be kind of vague and careful with how I describe this, but I feel like a kind of a hurdle animated films have run into recently is wanting to handle kind of complex themes as far as morality and villains goes, but kind of fumbling that in really simplistic, maybe like executive medley ways. Like, I'm kind of a broken record about Transformers 1 presenting some interesting dynamics between its heroes and its villains, but taking a way out that I find kind of simplistic. I think this movie makes some choices in its final act that, and I think it's not necessarily like a kid's movie the way a Transformers animated movie would be, and it has a little freedom that way. The characters end up making choices and sacrifices that I was like really emotionally invested in and impressed by. I think it has a very strong and mature ending.
I agree. Yeah.
There's a very refreshing concept in this movie is sort of because I think it's very typical for like a superhero story to sort of lean toward conforming to the existing system to counter like a worse system.
Yes.
And yeah, we're not going to go into spoilers on it because everybody should watch this movie, but this film does very explicitly try to send the message of like, okay, if the current good system isn't working, tear it down and build a new one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Super cool movie, yes.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm having that crisis that you're having to like. I feel I'm probably gonna watch this movie again before the end of the year, and I think it really does have potential to shoot up to my number one. There are some like, there's like a few characters that I think really needed to be fleshed out more.
Mm-hmm. There is like Rumi is like the main, and the movie's about her, but and I think it's a good sign that you want more of a couple characters, because it shows that they're kind of there in the first place. But I do, as a big stand for the other two, I wanted a tiny bit more of them, Mira and Zoe.
Yeah, it is very much Rumi's story.
Yeah, it's very, very Rumi centric, and as much as I'm hoping for a sequel to this movie, I'm kind of worried at kind of how little they touched on some of Rumi's backstory, because I feel like maybe they're leaving that open for a sequel. But yeah, I'd really like to see it focus more on like Mira and Zoe.
This took a long time, because I think it's like the creator said it was something like 7 years ago they started it, and it shows because it looks fucking stunning and amazing.
It's refined as hell. I mean, and the songs are like, they're all hits. There's not a single like mid song in this movie.
It's the podcast of good music, I'd say. This and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So over in our overlap list, the last couple things. Life of Chuck, do we care that much? I don't think there's...
No,
yeah, it's fine. Materialists. Dav, you and I... We had a lot to talk about. Were you planning to talk about this one?
Not necessarily. I mean, I did write a review about it, but like...
We don't have to have a whole set. I think it's like... A lot of people are dismissive of it. I think it's got a little more meat on the bone than you might think. It's like a cute 7, but again, yeah. I always say sometimes a 7 is what you need,
Yeah, like in a vacuum on its own, it's good. It's not doing anything crazy or anything like that, but like I said in my review, my biggest kind of praise point for the movie is that I think it has like the best stance on love as a concept that I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Of just like how it's not a series of green flags that like line up, and like you're not necessarily going to fall in love with somebody who's like your dream person or whatever, or like somebody who even like you share all the same hobbies and stuff with. It's just like, it's kind of random. And I think the movie does a good job of portraying that. I'll say I'm downright, like, reading some of the reviews for this on Letterboxd are, like, making me lose some faith in humanity. There are some downright disgusting people talking about this movie, like, it's, like... one of the top reviews is, like, it's broke man propaganda, and it's like, genuinely go fuck yourself if you believe that.
My brother in Christ, it is 2025. Everybody's broke.
Like, this is not a wish. It's not like a woman's wish fulfillment movie, I think, is because it was marketed very much as like Dakota Johnson has two very attractive men to choose from, and one of them is very rich. And I think that just kind of implanted the wrong idea in some people's head that it's like, oh, wouldn't you love to be Dakota Johnson? And it's a lot more grounded than that. It is not just like, oh, she has her like her harem and she has her men fighting over her. It's very realistic about how like both of these men are not caricatures, they are people, and love is going to like ultimately be the thing that wins in the end. And
right.
Yeah, it's so stupid, I think, to take away that it's like broke man propaganda or like some idea that like women should settle or something. It's so stupid to take that away from this.
No, absolutely. I liked, and I think somebody said that the superpower and weakness of Dakota Johnson is you can so tell when she just does not give a shit, and you can tell when she does. And she kind of plays that in this movie. Her job is she's a matchmaker, and so in like the post-Tinder age where everybody, and I'm not exempt from that, is brain poisoned into having a diner menu mentality about dating, where they're like, I want this kind of income and this kind of body and so on, because we can practically do that on our phones. And she's playing like every invisible conscious I think most self-aware people have of like, I'm not Dr. Frankenstein, I can't make your perfect man, but she's being paid to do exactly that. And I thought every scene of her like struggling as a matchmaker, I thought was like the interesting part of it. I loved those bits.
Yeah, just like that concept of like people have expectations when they pay that much money for a matchmaking service, but like no matter how much money you pay, you cannot magic up the perfect person for you.
No. And it is, and like I'm very self-critical when I'm like going on dating app dates and I'm like, this person's crazy about me, but I don't like the way they smell. And the Dakota Johnson on my shoulder is like, really? You're gonna pretend to be lonely when that's where you're at? But like you said, it's like, if it doesn't click, it doesn't click. And you have to acknowledge that when you reject somebody just as much as when you seeks your dream person that you're never gonna find.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird that the Dakota Johnson on my shoulder always talks about like spiders in the Amazon.
Oh, you got that, Dakota Johnson, huh?
I heard you all want to hear something wild. I'm just regurgitating a story from Blank Check. So there's a popcorn bucket subreddit, and somebody who works for one of the companies that manufactures them said there was gonna be a big Madam Web popcorn bucket, but they were scrapped at the last minute. We made them. We sent them to theaters. And
those buckets exist.
Yeah, no, they exist. And then, like, the day before they were supposed to go on sale, they got the phone call that was just like, dump it, trash them. And I saved one. I just lost my job. And what it is, so I can, like, reveal it. And it's, like, got Daily Bugle headlines of events of the MCU. So you have, like... Oh, shit. You've got, like, Thanos and Drax on it. And the word was, it was like, can you do this? And Sony was like, we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. And they didn't. So they were like, dump it. Trash it.
I mean, the Sony Spider-Man universe in general had so many issues with continuity and, like, what universe everything takes place in and stuff. Like, Morbius having, like, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man appear in a trailer, I think was just, like, the linchpin for how just catastrophic they've handled that whole universe in general.
Well, and I had this in the newsreel, but I think Sony officially announced that the villain movies are over.
Yeah,
like, they're done.
And, yeah, good riddance, thankfully.
Yeah, Null is gone. Yeah, we're never seeing Emma Roberts give birth to Spider-Man. We're out of there. Yeah.
Before we get too far removed from Materialists, I do want to point out something that I thought was really funny in that movie, which is Dakota Johnson's character explicitly saying that she makes $80,000 a year before tax, and like Shut the fuck up. No, you fucking do not. I make more money than that, and I could not afford that fucking apartment in Manhattan.
No way. Well, I think it's also a little bit like every millennial has an absurd amount of credit card debt is also an element of that. But it is what it is. Yeah. I think that movie was cute, and what's cool about that movie too is it is drastically overperforming. I think that the director is Celine Song, who did Past Lives, which was this like huge A24 darling that did probably okay for an indie in theaters and kind of exploded on streaming. So it had so people wanted to see the new Celine Song, and then this is her working with Captain America and Mr. Fantastic. So I think it's really good that just like a very grounded rom-com did pretty well compared to, not to say it like stretched its legs over Jurassic World or whatever, but like hearing that doing well and Ballerina kind of struggling to keep its footing, I really like where we're at in our like blockbuster ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying that there was a lot of good movies this month, and you know, it is the start of the summer, so this, I think, tends to be the strongest like area for that. But yeah, I think everything is moving a little bit more positively in that direction.
That's all said without acknowledging that Lilo and Stitch has made like $1 jumbillion.
Oh yeah, the sequels are
Get the sequel.
Next month, we're gonna see if we save Dolores. Jurassic World will be out. And then I'm so interested, you know, I'm trying not to have like I used to be the annoying person who like, I was the DC fan and my friends were the Marvel fan, and we would like genuinely needle each other. But Superman versus Fantastic Four is so deeply interesting of a box office thing, because it's like Thunderbolts and Creature Commandos. No, sir, whatever. Okay, we're not doing great. We're giving you Superman and Fantastic Four. We're giving you vanilla and cheeseburgers. The most pure distillation of what... If you don't want these, we're packing it in. This is like the ultimate war of attrition, back to basics within the same month. And I'm really interested to see how it goes.
See, I was going to say, I think that the bigger thing is that these are two movies with kind of complicated paths with a ton riding on them. Like this may be the first good Fantastic Four movie, and if it's not, it's over. Like the Fantastic Four is cursed. And then you look at Superman, and obviously, you know, the DC EU, I think they called it, was, you know, super, you know, road paved with a lot of like bad shit. And if this doesn't do good, it's over. The DCE, or the new DC universe with James Gunn leading it, is simply like, it has no future. So they both have I would say, more like expectations on them than most superhero movies. And I will say I'm looking forward to both, but I'm also extremely nervous about both.
And trying... Superman is just like the most important... It's my favorite character. And I'm just trying to approach it like, hey, a book you like is getting adapted. It doesn't have to be your favorite thing in the world if you just like it, you know? I'm just trying to approach it like that. The world and those characters is always going to be so precious to me. I'm sure I'm going to be not normal about it when it comes out, one way or the other. Did you see the new Fantastic Four trailer where Ben is afraid to say his catchphrase?
No.
No, yeah, I saw that, but like, I imagine that it's because they're just trying to save it for when you actually watch the movie. I don't think they wanted to show it off in the trailer.
That's fair, yeah. I just don't love the gag of like, I don't say that, that's...
I mean, the bar is exceptionally low given what was in the last Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
I don't think they can ever get that bad, so it's whatever to me.
Yeah. Well, I have the notifications for my Alamo, so it'll tell me as soon as showtimes are posted for every movie that comes out. And I got the email for Fantastic Four and looked at, and every screening was populated when I popped in relatively early. So that's already projected to do really well. I don't know if Superman's going to do more or less.
We got our tickets for Superman. Last
night, right?
Yeah, last night, and I really had to search around a little bit to find like a good 3-seater, because I mean a lot of those are super full too.
Gosh, a lot of clips about Lex Luthor. Excited. I'm excited. You're not as high on Nick Holt Luthor, are you?
See, I have like a very Clancy Brown centered Luthor, but I also feel like the best Luthor has to like contrast Superman in a meaningful way. And I feel like there is a way to do that that's not just like, hey, I'm Lex Luthor. I'm a little smug little asshole. I'm worried that's where Hulk is going.
I don't get that. I see where your concern is. I don't necessarily get that from him, at least in what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like I feel like I have a ton of problems with the DCAU. That being said, I think we have never gotten a Lex Luthor or Joker better than that. And I think those are the standards that I hold them to. And I just worry that, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's like a bad take to think that Luthor should have like a lot of gravitas. He has to, because he is a human against, for all intents and purposes, a god. I feel like if you just kind of make him like a little shit, it takes away what makes like Luthor interesting, because now he isn't like this genius against a god. It's more so like it's just a child throwing a tantrum, and I feel like that if you go ahead.
I think you're putting the cart before the horse a little, because that's just, I think Nick Holt has like weasel features on his face, and I think that paints that image. But this is a younger Luthor, because this is a Superman origin. He's never like, generally, like, he comes off as pretty composed, honestly, in persona. He's not like, and again, like, Clancy Brown is my favorite Luthor as well. He is prone to tantrums, in fairness, that I think this Luthor is going to be pushed to over a lot of time. Whereas here, he's able to keep a straight face when Superman is, like, destroying his office. I think that is very much a good sign in way of his composure.
I think that's definitely fair. It is hard to separate the fact that Nick Holt looks like he's, like, 20 at the most. And I feel like Luthor...
Tiny man. Yeah. Sorry.
I feel like Luthor being older than Superman is also, like, interesting, because, like, there's that one comic page I really like where he's, like, a kid, and he's like, eventually everyone will look up to me, and the next panel is like him looking up at Superman. So I feel like the fact that I like it when Luthor is older, because I feel like it contrasts Superman a bit better.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll have a lot to say next month about Superman. I'm probably gonna do just like one of my blogs with Martin, the way we did Frasier, but we'll talk about it on here as well. So people listening at home, if that was too much Superman, sorry. That's about the end of our overlapping list. Are we feeling good on time to do one or two solo things? I know there's a couple things we wanted to discuss.
I could take or leave it. Honestly, I feel like we could definitely do like one round maybe, but like the things that like I have to talk about aren't like very emotionally connected, you know?
Are you feeling the same way, Dav? Maybe just one quick round of extra things?
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
All right, Willow, we'll start with you.
Okay, promises made, promises kept. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I am a red-blooded American, and I love red-blooded American movies. And so I'm toasting Michael Bay's Armageddon, because this is a red-blooded American movie. God, country, USA.
You really liked King of Kings, too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love dignity. No, I am going to roast Michael Bay's Armageddon. 2.5 hours of as I put it in my review, it just kind of feels like Republican bullshit. This movie is about an asteroid that's going to crash into Earth, so they have to like send people up to stop it. And it's like they have a bunch of oil drillers who try to stop it. Very, very decidedly pro-fracking movie. Yeah, I just, I mean, Michael Bay is definitely, like, not one of my favorite directors, but I think he can have his moments. That being said, I was exceedingly bored during this movie, and when I wasn't bored, I was very, like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I know Duncan took his clothes off and I'm bored.
Tommy sees someone take their clothes off and he's like, that's all I need!
We're in a truce that we can needle each other a little and not, like, be mad at each other over the movie night.
Yeah.
Because this was my movie night pick, and you and Jay were brats the whole time.
Ruining my movie night.
Which I say affectionately and jokingly that there's a Ben Affleck romance scene that is very hokey. I'm not going to pretend this movie is like where he's like, I guess, putting animal crackers down her panties or whatever. Yeah. And I Don't Want to Miss a Thing starts playing, and Willow goes, ugh, I can't believe they're unironically playing this when it was written for this movie. And I'm imagining Willow, like, crossing her arms at, like, the Star Wars theme, like, ugh, they're playing the Star Wars theme for Star Wars.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I hadn't heard of this movie before you picked it, so, like...
Really?
Heard of Armageddon?
It's pretty big.
No.
It's like a dad classic.
Yeah, no, my dad would have loved this movie. I mean, he might have seen it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It just felt I do agree that it is like a dad movie, very much so.
Oh yeah.
But like, in kind of, and I guess like this is, you know, when did this come out? Like 2003?
I want to say like 98 almost. I'm not positive.
Yeah, I think it was 98.
Okay, so it was like at the beginning of like, not the beginning, but like near the start of like that era of movies, where they were like really prevalent. So I know that it probably, you know, set a lot of the groundwork. But I just found it, and it might be like a Halloween situation where like, if you watch Halloween now, you're like, oh, this sucks. But that's only because it created so many of the tropes that you see in slasher movies. So
the
it comes
original
off
Halloween?
Yeah.
You watch that and you'd think it would suck?
No, I don't. Sorry, I was exaggerating. I don't think the original Halloween sucks, but I'm like, it's okay. It's like a 7 out of 10. But it's only because the original Halloween has so many tropes in it that it created. So it's very much like the blueprint of a lot of slasher movies. So a lot of the stuff you see in the original Halloween is so prevalent in like, you know, later slashers that it comes off as, with the context of having seen so many slasher movies, it might come off as like, oh, this is just like more of the same, when it's like, no, this is the blueprint. But I think that's, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, and where I agree, yeah, and I'm not saying this is explicitly the read of the film, but this is 1 year after Face Off and a few years after Point Break. And these three movies I kind of consider the holy trinity of when action movies were a little bit gay for like a while. Because we had like the golden age of the 80s was like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and that was all about post-Vietnam sticking it to the man that would exploit us. Then we move a little more into the 90s, and the bad guys aren't, like, as untouchable as Dick Jones or Bennett from Commando. You've got Patrick Swayze in Point Break. You've got Nicolas Cage in Face Off. And it's more about a weird tension that, in my point of view, borders on kind of weirdly sexual between really hammy actors. And in Armageddon, it's not the Meteor, it's Affleck and Willis, who, like, are madly in love with each other, but need to, like, win each other over and team up to make his daughter happy and take this meteor down.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think it is, like, a very particular... Like, I do love, like, dude bro shit like that. Like, as much as Point Break I enjoyed, but it just wasn't for me. I thought that Keanu and Gary Busey like, had very cool chemistry, and I like the relationship like that.
Every time we got food in California, I turned into Gary Busey and said, "Give me 2!"
How many hot dogs have you had to eat today, Tommy?
Should have told you to get me 3 of these.
Well, that's your problem. You're starving.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with it is a conservative film. Like, Michael Bay is a big cigar chomping Republican guy. I don't necessarily know how he votes, but if this movie's any indicator,
he votes for Skibbity G Man.
Oh yeah,
true.
But, like, I do try to just, like, keep handed. I think you can acknowledge that, and also I was just kind of blown away that this movie has, like, sets and characters in a way that it's hard to find action movies that do today.
Yeah. That being said, I still think, unironically, I liked Moonfall more than Armageddon.
I agree, yeah.
That's fair. I'm not mad about it. I loved it, though.
Fair enough. It's like, I don't know, it's one of those movies where it's very much like I watch it and I'm like, oh, this movie is made for someone who is not me.
It is like, he's... There's a bit at the start that I think just illustrates my feelings there, where Bruce Willis is playing golf off his big fracking ship, and, like, plunking into protesters, and I'm like, this is in disagreement with my politics in every way, shape, and form, but, like, I'll be damned if that's not a fun way to illustrate someone I disagree with. I don't know what to tell you.
It is a good character-establishing moment for a character that you would fucking hate in real life.
Yes, yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that's all I have to say about it. I thought it was I can appreciate the, like you said, the sets and stuff, but I think overall it's not for me.
That's fair.
It's just a bit too, not too much even, but I just, like, kind of like you said, like, morally I disagree with, like, some of the things it's trying to say too. Like, I'm sorry, but oil drillers are not the heroes. Like, we gotta stop doing that shit.
And I don't want to become the film bro that would, like, give Birth of a Nation 5 stars, Like, I hope that's not me, but I do try to just keep, like, an open mind and view the product in front of me for what it is instead of what I might want. And obviously mileage varies. There are movies that disgust me on a personal moral level. I think that mileage is going to vary for everybody. Yeah.
It's a very good time capsule of America right before 9/11.
Yes. Yeah. Dab, is there anything you want to touch on? As far as, like, topics go?
As, like, for a toast or roast?
Yeah.
I guess, since we're doing the rotation, I could go ahead and talk about one thing here, that we all watched. I will go ahead and toast Connor O'Malley's Rap World.
Yes!
Which is, a beautiful period piece about Toby Hanna, Pennsylvania, in 2009, starring, like, the type of person I feel like I have met in real life.
Oh, yeah.
And around that time period of, like...
I've walked into 7-Elevens with all of these characters in high school.
Of just, like, total, like, douchey, just, like, fresh out of college, if they even went to college, sort of age guys.
Mm-hmm.
Who are, like, constantly talking about how they're making it... Like, they're gonna make it big, they're gonna make it big, and then not actually doing anything to further that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just kind of talking themselves up, and it's super, super funny the way it satirizes that. I do not want to get into too much detail about this movie, because, like, it's kind of something that you just need to see and experience on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say that, yeah, it's very much like a... it's presented as an amateur sort of documentary that's just made by this group of friends who are amateur rappers, and they wanted to make this documentary about them putting together an album, and so they decided that they were going to make and record everything in the course of a single night. And it's just a very good portrayal of them doing anything other than that for the longest time, just procrastinating so hard. You see other people in their lives who are, like, totally fed up with them, and just, like, various antics kind of ensue, and it very much feels like it straight up feels like a movie that was made in 2009, but, like, amateurically.
Yeah. Well, I have a subcategory I keep a list of on Letterboxd that I call Certified Basement Classics, where it's like, this is a movie that plays better at a sleepover when you're high on a bunch of soda than at a movie theater. And it's shit you would watch in the basement, like Space Jam and Mortal Kombat and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this is a basement movie, but I would also say in a meta sense, it's like, this captures the feeling of a basement night as I idealize it when I make that list, if you know.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. They're, like, up all night. You see them up at, like, 3, 4 a.m. and shit, and it's
just fucking around in, like, a parking lot or whatever.
Yeah, just, like, and just it captures small town America very well too. Of just, like, the only shit that there is to do is, like, either go try to find a party at a friend's house, or, like, hang out in the parking lot of a Walgreens.
Just go getting McDonald's is, like, the funnest thing you could do.
Exactly, yeah. There's just, like, there's not much going on. Everybody is bored. Everybody feels like their lives are getting away from them. But they're still kind of, like, having fun. So it's kind of nice in that way, but it's also, yeah, like, these guys are not exactly... you shouldn't be looking up to them or anything.
They're not aspirational, no.
Yeah.
It's still Connor O'Malley, who's, like, a Tim Robinson collaborator, who's in, like, Friendship, and has done a lot of his own independent stuff.
You should be dead!
Who are you? I don't want to I wouldn't give away the ending for $1 million, but it ends on, I'd say, a grim, but really funny note.
Yeah.
No, I would say that the ending is, like, one of the funniest endings in cinema history.
Awesome movie. Yeah, I loved Rap World. Just captures that, like, LimeWire era really well. Can I, do you mind if is that all we want to cover for that one? Can I take the wheel for one quick thing before the news?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I wanted to, and so I was roasted so much for showing you Armageddon that I was like, I'll show them. I'm not a Republican. And I went and saw the 20th anniversary screening of Brokeback Mountain. And kind of like you were saying earlier, Willow, there's movies that you kind of walk into sometimes expecting to kind of be homework. Like, this is one of the all-time great classics. I just don't know if it's necessarily gonna connect with me. It's probably important that I see it. And I kind of sat down for Brokeback Mountain in that way, because this movie made history in so many different contexts. And I was actually pretty blown away by how much I loved it.
You were sitting down in the theater and you were like, gay people.
We got our tickets for that next week. I think July 1st specifically.
Oh, you're gonna see it.
Yeah, we were joking about how like it's not in Pride Month anymore, so when we show up, we gotta kind of like shake our heads and we don't approve of it.
See, I really, because Willow, I hope this doesn't come off as me needling you more, but you said something in a podcast not long ago where you were like, I don't like a movie that doesn't have any kind of supernatural edge. You don't like something that's too grounded. Would you say that's still true? Because this movie, it's great. It's surprisingly kind of normal.
No, yeah, I guess that was probably a bad way to put it. It's not that I don't like movies that are grounded. It's that my preference leans to movies with like supernatural or like something bigger than life happening.
Okay. Well, that's fair, and knowing you're both gonna go see it, I'm gonna be a little briefer. But I do think this, like, for a long time, I kinda didn't know, like, and again, society at large would make you believe this is about two cowboys in the Old West fucking, and it's a little bit about that, but, I thought this took place in, like, the frontier era for a long time. It's actually, the first thing you see is a truck. It takes place in the 60s.
Right.
I kind of assumed it took place then, yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was like in the Gold Rush or something. I don't know. And it was, and like, I don't know, because you always see the images of them on the prairie and, you know, and for a long time the movie's kind of a punchline because society. Everyone's like, oh, Brokeback Mountain, it's the big gay movie. And they don't tell you, it's just a genuinely, really heart-wrenching love story. You know, I'm not going to say you're going to walk out happy. There's some really tough, raw emotions to deal with. It is Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger falling in love as two frontiersmen managing sheep in the frontier and having to deal with that in the 1960s where they're very much expected to marry and like have kids, and how that kind of conflicts with their emotions there. You get a phenomenal early Anne Hathaway as well. This is the best Gyllenhaal performance. Like, I've always liked him, but this is I see it now. This is great. Heath Ledger's also... Sorry?
I was going to say, even better than, like, Nightcrawler?
Man, those are... It's apples and oranges a little. I think he's terrific in this. I like Nightcrawler a lot. Yeah. I'd say I'd probably rather rewatch Nightcrawler than this, but also just because this is kind of an upsetting movie.
Yeah.
But also because, you know, this movie has gay people in it, but...
No, come on! Well, I think that Nightcrawler, Jake Gyllenhaal, is gay for the right price. I could see him falling into that category. I would also say a big lost art on display beautifully is, like, animals in filmmaking, because they're herding sheep. There's a point where they have an encounter with a bear, dealing with horses, cows. And I know that sounds very like, okay, big whoop, but there's like genuinely, it is the kind of, as far back, I remember one of the big linchpins of our very first podcast was talking about like, they put a jaguar in Jungle Cruise that looks like a PS3 character. And Ang Lee in 2005 had like 1,000 fucking sheep on a mountaintop and makes it look like poetry, and it's fucking gorgeous. So I fucking loved it. I kind of can't wait to hear what y'all think of it. I guess I'll cut myself off a little sooner since we may even get a chance to discuss it next month. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
See, I do...
Oh no, go ahead, Will.
I was just, like, side note, when you said, like, the PS2 Jungle Cruise, I was like, Tommy, that's a ride. Those are animatronics. They're not... No. I think you meant that, there is a movie about the Jungle Cruise.
Well, just you wait. Scarlett Johansson is making a Tower of Terror movie. Isn't that exciting?
Oh, no.
Is that supposed to be, like, cool? Like, what's the deal? Have I been on... I don't think I've even been on Tower of Terror.
But here's the thing, Tower of Terror is, you know, the initial is themed to the Twilight Zone. There is a way to do that movie really well. and I don't think it is going to be done very well. I think, like, if they hammed it up and, like, made it very Twilight Zone-esque, and, like, got someone to, like, play Rod Sterling, I think it could be, like, incredible, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it is just going to be like the Jungle Cruise.
No, I'm more having like nervous pangs from that Haunted Mansion movie that I know you liked, but I was like, I don't know.
Here, the thing about the Haunted Mansion movie that, like, even if it's not super good, that I could appreciate is there's a lot of like references and like nods to the ride, like when they're like, oh, put away the cameras, the spirits won't come out if they, or won't materialize with like bright lights, and that's something that the narrator says when you enter the Doom buggy. Like, that kind of thing is cool.
You know what else there's references to? Products I can go buy.
Yay.
Here's my imitation of Lakeith Stanfield in Haunted Mansion. My wife died on her way to go get some Dairy Queen chili fries. She left me a note on this Walgreens notepad.
She was eating spicy goodness like a bug.
I'm sorry, but, and you love Jared Leto in that movie too, right, Willow?
Jared Leto needs to become a ghost, I'll tell you that.
God, I would be so excited for this new Tron movie if he wasn't in it.
I know.
I'm there for Greta Lee. I love her. She's so great. She's gonna be cool. Are we ready for the news?
Yeah. I'd say so.
Willow, you're gonna want to sit down for this.
I am sitting down.
Okay, I'm putting my hand on your shoulder. This is gonna be really hard to hear.
Uh-huh. Wait. Can I guess what it is?
Yeah.
Is it about the Akira movie?
Taika Waititi's not making his Akira movie anymore.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna shoot myself with a gun.
I know, this is really hard for you. That was like the one thing you were, like, every year it got delayed, you were like, it's gonna come next year, right?
Akira shouldn't be a live-action movie.
No. I would also argue Taika Waititi shouldn't be making films.
No. Well, I would say definitely, like, he has this very, like, specific style, and it's just not a fit for Akira. You just can't make that movie funny.
No.
Like, it has to be. It's about disadvantaged teens living in a basically post-apocalyptic hellscape. Like, they're... You just can't... You can't park there!
I was so excited to see fucking New Zealand explode.
New Zealand.
For all our audience listening, if you have not watched the original Akira movie, you need to do that right now, because it is one of the greatest movies of all time, and I would still argue that no animated movie has ever looked better since.
Yeah, I would co-sign that. It is pretty remarkable. But also, like, if you're deep in nerddom enough to listen this long to a podcast, I think you've probably seen Akira.
Yeah, True. Just, like, avoid the stupid It's one of those movies that, unfortunately, the culture of AI upscaling and 60 frame per second interpolation, that whole audience is really latched onto. Try to avoid that, because it makes it look like shit, as it always does. The original, like, the way it's meant to be seen is just phenomenal.
Yeah, if they ever, like, release that again in theaters, I am signing up day one, because that is... I think that's my second favorite movie ever made.
As long as they don't do an Interstellar 5555.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, none of that. No, thank you. Let's see. We have the DK Direct. Okay. I meant to look up how to say this person's last name before we recorded, and I feel really stupid. Denis the Dune guy. I really don't.
Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve, right?
Villeneuve.
He's making
Either
a new
way.
Bond. He's making James Bond. I think
And
he's.
it looks like Tom Holland is gonna be James Bond.
I think if they genuinely reveal that Tom Holland is James Bond, I'll only log on for the next podcast to like kill myself. I think that's the worst possible thing they could do.
You know what would be really funny to come out of that though, if they do like end up casting him?
Uh-huh.
Is you know how the PS4 Spider-Man, when they did the remaster, they like changed Peter's model to look more like Tom Holland? What if they did that with the new 007 game?
Which was the other significant announcement from State of Play, so I guess we killed two birds with one stone there.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I think Denis is just like I don't think I don't want a Bond movie that tastes like Dune in any way, shape, or form. I think that's a terrible idea.
I don't think it's gonna be anything like Dune.
There's also lots of reports that he will not have final cut or say on who plays Bond. So I wonder if he's just gonna drop out. This seems like they're taking a lot of control away from him, which I know is a weird thing to complain about when I don't like the choice in the first place, but if you're gonna take a swing as big as making Denis make a Bond, let him make his Bond, I guess, even if I don't think it's a great match.
I think he's an incredible director. I think Arrival is one of my favorite movies ever. As much as I'm not like a Dune head, I think the Dune movies are incredibly well made. But that being said, his more grounded stuff, it doesn't quite scratch that itch for me. I think he's so good with, like, the largest scope possible that this does have me a little worried.
Well,
it's just kind of a weird choice to direct Bond.
Right, and he's said, and this is an interview that you should take with a grain of salt, and he obviously means things in a very particular context, but he's described himself as someone who hates dialogue. And I know he means, like, he feels dialogue isn't something that should be, like, a fix-all tool. And to a certain extent, I agree with him. But having someone that would ever, like, decry dialogue make a Bond, where the whole thing is you have this chauvinistic macho guy who saves face and is charming with his dialogue. Like, I don't think a Denis character has ever been, like, suave that way. I just have a hard time imagining that.
Tom Holland, as much as he's praised as like an attractive guy, he ain't seducing fucking anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and we're kind of jumping. There's a lot reported as to who it could be. Tom Holland is one name among many. That's like there's like Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's been obsessed with being James Bond for a long time, who I could see is okay. Out of like, I'd rather they go with, and they're kind of like, we want a younger Bond, because like Idris Elba and Henry Cavill have also kind of always been names that pop up. I'd honestly take those over like a James Bond Jr. kind of thing.
No, I think that anytime a director says like, oh, we want a younger X, I roll my eyes so fucking much. Why does it fucking matter?
Right.
It's about the character. They're like, why does it matter if James Bond is like a 20-year-old? Like, he shouldn't be. If you're gonna be James Bond, you have to, have skill and whatnot. Like, it doesn't make sense for him to be fucking 12 like Tom Holland is. And I like Tom Holland as an actor, but like, he's just like,
he doesn't have that level of charisma and like knowledge and experience under his belt that kind of naturally has to come from like a Pierce Brosnan,
And I think what people are discussing as well is I feel like you almost shouldn't be able to name who you want to be Bond. It should be someone that's like, I didn't know who and I was young when Daniel Craig became Bond, but Daniel Craig wasn't a household name until Bond. And I think the same is true for Pierce and Tim Dalton and maybe even Sean Connery. I'm not positive. And of course, people will report on fucking anything. I have no idea if there's credence to it. Some people are like, oh, they're discussing making either Florence Pugh or Zendaya the Bond girl. And it's like, I'm guilty of a Reddit casting as much as the next fella. You shouldn't be, like, pulling from your Rolodex. It should, like, a Bond girl should be someone that you had no idea was so fucking cool and sexy. You know what I mean?
The most beautiful woman you've never seen in your life.
Like, Ana de Armas was a Bond girl, and that was way before her breakout where she was now. Michelle Yeoh, Terry Hatcher, that's like... Or it's like someone, like Michelle Yeoh was a Bond girl late in her career, but she wasn't big in the US at the time. It was like bringing over a foreign star, so I think it should be something to that effect. So, this is gonna be the worst Bond movie ever. But not the worst movie ever, because that honor goes to the new Street Fighter movie.
Oh my god. This is awful, Murray.
So they for whatever reason, the Raka Raka guys that made Bring Her Back and Talk to Me were gonna do this, and things fell apart there. I don't know what the hell is going on here. So far, we've got Jason Momoa is Blanca, which I'm honestly okay with. That's the one where it's like, okay, sure. There's an actress I'm really not familiar with as Chun-Li. Chun-Li's my favorite character. I'll give her a chance. That's not really where we're at. Where things get really absurd, we have Roman Reigns as Akuma. Roman Reigns being a portentous figure from the WWE who's kind of famous for not being good at his job. Did you all watch the clip, the Suffering Succotash clip?
I don't think so.
Yeah, fuck.
I sent you, there's just like, he was trying to, his deal was, and I might be getting some details wrong, I don't want to say he sucks, because from the sound of things, his narrative as a wrestler is really, really complex. He was part of a big team. To my understanding, he was always silent muscle. But a time came when he had to step into being the face, and the second he opened his mouth to talk, he, like, couldn't manage. Like, he tells John Cena something to the effect of, like, man, you are just a suffering load of suffering succotash. And that's, like, his attempt to cut a promo. And he was a widely hated wrestler who revealed that he was retiring because he was sick. And everyone was like, oh, this whole time we hated him, but he got sick, he gets better, and that resentment plays into kind of his return as a heel, I think. And that's like an interesting narrative as far as a wrestler goes. I don't think he's Akuma.
No, Akuma needs to... Number one, I think Akuma is one of the specific characters that, like, needs to be Japanese.
Yeah,
like,
to me, and at least, it's not fair to call this... It's not fair to call this whitewashing. He is Samoan, which at least isn't white per se, but it's not Japanese.
Yeah.
They need to go like on the streets of Tokyo and just find a guy who looks like Baki or something and hire him.
Yeah.
No, like Akuma, like from what you describe him, he's more like a comedic presence almost. And Akuma is fucking aura personified. Like he can't. You can't. I mean, I hate to be repeating myself. You can't park there. Oh
no! You know who they should cast for Akuma?
Yeah.
Remember that lady who was like yelling in her phone? She's like, "You motherfuckers!" And she's doing the face that looks exactly like Akuma. Yeah, they should call her up. Yeah, get her for the role.
50 Cent is Balrog. Sure.
See, I thought that was like, okay, and then it turns out that 50 Cent is like, I'm gonna pay Zoran $100,000 to fuck off.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. That's news to me, so that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting like the Republican Avengers for this movie. They did whitewash Dan Hibiki. He is being played by Andrew Schultz, who is a big Joe Rogan Manosphere guy. I have no idea what the fuck we're doing there.
Yeah.
The rumor is M. Bison, maybe Walton Goggins, which
is like kind of cool.
I think Walton could do the dictator Bison. I think the second he fights, he's gonna look ridiculous.
I can see where you're coming from with that. Yeah.
So this is a fucking shit show. I think that's
he's a little too skinny.
Yeah. I think this is due out next year, so we'll see how that goes. I think there was the Annecy Film Festival, which apparently had some news, but I had a hard time tracking it. I think the big news from that is that Andy Serkis made a bad Animal Farm movie, unfortunately.
People are saying it's bad?
And like, on paper, you say Andy Serkis Animal Farm, I'm like, oh, sign me up, this looks awesome. And have you seen the released clip of it?
I have not.
Oh, Willow, it looks like Cocomelon.
Oh, fuck.
And some people are like, but okay, maybe it's to lure you in, then it gets dark. And reviews from the festival are describing, like, fart jokes and...
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Animal Farm? You mean like Old MacDonald, E-I-E-I-O? Okay, maybe.
Which, no, it sucks. I guess the last thing, and this is maybe just a me thing to get kind of pumped up about, there was a Universal Theater dedication attended by Steven Spielberg where he showed the first footage of his upcoming UFO movie coming out next spring or summer, I believe, called The Dish. No, I'm sorry, The Dish is a rumored title. I don't know if that's the final title. That may change. And just hearing, like, new Steven Spielberg alien movie fills me up with really good feelings. We've got Emily Blunt, Wyatt Russell, and I think Josh O'Connor. So I'm super pumped up for that. The footage like wowed people. They're really pumped up for it.
Hell yeah. I do prefer my aliens to be scary, and I feel like most Steven Spielberg aliens are more like, oh, look at us, we're these benevolent beings who love humanity. We're like big parents. And didn't you say like this is supposed to be kind of like creepy, or is it
so the footage described was Emily Blunt in a car chase and she crashes onto a train track and it's stuck there while a train is coming.
Okay, I guess that doesn't really say if the aliens are scary.
Have you seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Oh yeah.
So, and I guess those aliens aren't scary. They're benevolent, but they are eerie. They're ominous, even if not, like, scary.
I think there's definitely build-up to them being eerie, but then as soon as they're, like, waving hello to humanity, it's just kind of like, okay, they're glorified people.
To be fair, there's 2 cuts of that movie, right?
I don't know.
I might have to double-check. To my understanding, there's 2 cuts, and one of the 2... significantly parses down the aliens that you actually see, and I think that's the one Spielberg stands by a little more closely. But I could be wrong. We'd have to double check that.
That's fair. I mean, I guess, like, you know, speaking of Arrival, I think that's the best way to do, like, benevolent aliens, because they're so different from humanity. And they're so, like, unknowable, but they are still, like, kind.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see something like that. But, like, Close Encounters, and I mean, obviously, that's, like, a very early movie. The aliens in those are just, like, greys, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely... not a lot of movies have scratched that, like, alien itch that I got since, like, I would say Annihilation. Annihilation is fucking incredible.
Annihilation is fucking cool. You should go see 28 Years Later, because Alex Garland wrote that.
Really?
And it's really fucking good, honestly. I think you'd like it.
Okay. Yeah, Alex Garland is probably, like, the most complicated relationship I have with a director, because he's directed some of my favorite movies and some of my least favorite.
So, he wrote it, and it's his, like, kind of bleakness of Annihilation, but it's directed by Danny Boyle, who did 28 Days Later. So it's his like soft touch there. It's a really good team. I think that I would have toasted that movie if we had time, but that one came out really well as well.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think the chill era is off to an amazing start. Next month, I already know, we're probably going to be talking Superman, Fantastic Four. We're going to have a trailer for another UFO movie, Project Hail Mary, but with Ryan Gosling. We're supposed to have the Running Man trailer as well, which I am so in the pocket for anything Edgar Wright. And I think the rumor is another Nintendo Direct is on the horizon. So in tandem with probably a lot of Bananza talk, we're going to have a lot to discuss next month. I'm pretty pumped. I'll see if do we have any other news pieces we want to cover before we close out?
Not that I can think of, no.
Nintendo did announce, like they made a game announcement through the like the new app that they have going.
Yeah.
Which is the Splatoon Badlands.
Oh yeah. I think they fumbled a little because I almost thought that was like an expansion for half a second, and I think they're having a hard time communicating that.
Yeah, it's just like a single player spin-off of Splatoon 3, and we don't really have any detail about it other than like Shiver and Fry and Big Man are there. So I assume that whatever Direct is coming up is going to expand more on that, but it's just kind of interesting that they like full on announced not just a game but a Splatoon spin-off on this app.
Oh yeah. I'd wager July Direct with more on that. Some Bonanza related DLC for Mario Kart World, some like more skins for DK, maybe release date for Kirby Air Riders because we're hitting the halfway point of the year. They want it out within this year. Metroid, that's set for September. Like that's set up, right?
I don't think there's an official release date on that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. That does sound about right.
Okay, I'm thinking like maybe one in September, one in November, Metroid Kirby, something like that. Maybe October even.
They're doing about like one big game per month to kind of start the console off, which I think is nice.
And then maybe some Tamagotchi Life stuff that we haven't heard about in a little bit. Maybe
that would be fantastic.
Maybe and I'd say that's going to be a little ways off, maybe January-ish, when we have our feet settled a little more. People have Switch 2s for Christmas. That's a guess. Well,
yeah.
I am going to do turn into Zebra Bonanza and eat a bunch of, what is zebras eat? Grass, which means get high, I guess, and I'm Tommy.
And I am going to eat a bunch of I don't know, crystal coconuts, and I'm Willow.
So you're doing alligator Bonanza?
Yeah, but also like
What if there is like a K. Rool Bonanza?
That'd be cool.
What if that's like the secret fourth style?
K. Rool retired to be the like Kremling elder, and he passes the style on to DK. That's kind of cool. Fuck.
No, that would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I gotta do my sign off. I'm gonna eat a bunch of insulin. Yummy, yum insulin. Just kidding. I'm gonna get high too. I'm Dev.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Oh, night.
Oh, bye.